Akash Inti, the real reflection of you. I love being out in the woods. Gives me that time to express myself, you know? Sometimes words don't do expressions justice. Right now I'm in the Watchung Reservation, right around just past sunset. Never know what lurks in these parts of the woods. Wolves, bears, wolverines, human beings. I haven't been in the woods for some time. Something lurking. I'm on to you. It's playing around over here. But kind of miss this place, you know? Being in nature really is a deep part of who I am, at the very least. But I think it's a deep part of who we all are. And I was thinking to myself earlier today, one of the things that I come back to, or maybe, I don't know if I come back to it, but one of the things I've been wondering about, at least as of late, recently, is this idea of how people handle periods of crisis, you know? Because there's always certain people who, you look at them and like, you can just tell they're skittish, they freaked out, like, it's like, all right, come on, guy. Yeah, it's a crisis, but it's not like that big of a deal. Then there's others who handle crisis as if it was like, all right, another one of these, no big deal. Almost as if nothing fazed them. But the thing about crisis is that no matter what, it's something that inherently stirs people in general, you know? Think back to times at least in the New York City area, because that's kind of where I've been born and raised and kind of what I have known most of my life. And the big crises that have been in my lifetime have been 9/11, for sure. Huge moment of crisis for, it wasn't only the New York area, but obviously most affected this area. And then the other one being the 07-08 financial crisis. And these strike me as kind of the crises of my time, at least to date, up until the pandemic. But what one reads about in textbooks of like, oh yeah, people were, the nation came together in prayer, the people came together, or people kind of diverged as well. And that was from 9/11. I mean, I remember I was in like Catholic school back then, and I remember like lots of big things happening right around that time. I remember the day, obviously, in and of itself. The one thing that's lost to the annals of time, when I say annals, it's like the archives, the bookshelves, if you will, the history books, is this almost like real life experience of like what was happening day to day during those times. And it's almost lost. There's obviously news clippings and things that you can get a sense of what it was like, but it's never really the same as experiencing something like that. The second one being the financial crisis, 07-08, just the impacts that it had on, obviously, businesses, on the everyday lives of people. The reason why I bring this up, the reason why I was thinking about this, Because I think crisis is a time where it's almost like a revelation. It's almost a season, if you will, that brings to the collective awareness, it brings to the collective consciousness what's truly important as we live in our lives and what's just fluff. See, during periods of booms, economic booms, periods of even booms in someone's career, it could be on the macro level of an economy or the micro level of a business or individual or even corporation. What's lost is almost in those periods of booms and those highs, that sense of what's really truly important. And why are we doing what we do? It's easy to get caught up and lost in the things that don't matter in those times. It's easy to get caught up in the fluff, if you will, the pleasantries, the excess of it all. But what I found more than anything is those who remember best those times of crisis, and don't remember it like, oh yeah, I remember this one time, but really remember it in their beingness, in their emotions, in their character, really ingrain those moments into the character of who we choose to be. Those are some of the most incredible people that I have ever encountered in my life. I can only think of a handful right now at this moment. But knowing what they've been through, and not knowing it in the sense of, oh yeah, I know what this person's been through, I heard the stories, but being able to tell simply by the way that they act and the way that they behave. There's something to that, There really is. There really is. Keep up. Thrive. Stay sexy.